This episode is brought to you by Instant Impact. Instant Impact provides transformative talent solutions to small and mid-sized companies that are making between 30 and 500 hires each year. If your recruitment's giving you a headache and you don't know where to start, then give the team at Instant Impact a call or visit www.instant-impact.com for more information. Hello and welcome to We Need to Talk About HR with your hosts, Felix Mitchell
and Louise Fraser.
Now, we've noticed a sort of quiet revolution in the people profession. More and more HR practitioners are choosing to step away from traditional employment and forge their own path, either as independent consultants or as fractional leaders. They're trading, in many ways, their job security for the freedom to solve the really chunky, exciting HR problems that they love to tackle. Riikka Kallio is part of this growing movement. Rather than apply for a new permanent job when she was made redundant at the start of this year, she decided instead to set up SpinOps, an HR consultancy specialising in the technical side of HR. This move lent into her own professional attraction to analytics, automation, and the sort of legal compliance side of the function, and solves a real issue that many startups struggle with, particularly at the beginning of their life cycle, how to deliver performance systems that actually deliver revenue. Riikka, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So let's jump straight in. Why did you decide to set up your own consultancy rather than apply for another role?
I've been thinking about this move for quite a few years, actually. I've always been interested in doing quite a variety of things and getting stuck in. But when you are in one role, there's always kind of like following this roadmap, which is great. But I want a little bit more step outside of my comfort zone and see what's in there. And I think my strengths lie a lot of in project management. So, however, even though I've been thinking this for years, it was such a hard move to me. Like having a secure full-time employment and then just leaving that employment and just jumping straight into entrepreneurship or solopreneur, it always just felt like now is not the right time. But when my previous employment came to an end, I was like, now or never. This is a perfect moment to do it. Because I had been thinking in such a long time, I had been putting a little bit of money aside, so I had a little bit of security net there. So it was a little bit of maybe unconscious planning, and also just a great timing.
That's really cool. I think let's get into the planning thing later because it'd be really interesting to dig into what people can do when they've got this sort of dream in mind. But I wonder if you could take us back to that decision, because we've spoken, I've seen your CV. I would imagine even in this job market, you would have been able to find another permanent position. So there was a sort of a trade-off. What were the things that made you jump? What was in the pro column?
The pro column was kind of trying to make it sound good. So just the freedom to choose the projects that you're very passionate about, as well as type of clients and just when you want to work. I'm not necessarily like 9 to 5 brain. I like to work sometimes like very early in the morning, very late in the morning. Sometimes I get motivation a Sunday afternoon. But in a full-time job, that's sometimes a little bit harder to create the environment for yourself. So I was just like, I want to see how I can make this work for me so that I can work best. So that was definitely in the pro column. I come from an entrepreneur family, so kind of like my parents both have been entrepreneurs since forever. I can't remember them doing anything else. So I kind of do I knew the pros and cons. So that was definitely there as well. And just the curiosity, I guess, because I had been thinking about it for so long, and I'm just like, let's see what happens. This is not like forever. I can still go back if I one day wake up as actually, in this stage of my life, I prefer job security and 9 to 5. Let's go back. So I had more to gain than I had to lose.
I love the courage. And I think it's a really interesting thought to say, if this all fails or doesn't work, it's not like that job market doesn't exist anymore, right? So I think that's really interesting. And I think we're quite commonly seeing more HR professionals shifting into the fractional space. What do you think is driving that change more broadly?
That's an interesting question. And what I've seen, especially because I work with early stage startups from like seed to Series B, maybe Series C companies, there is in the market, I've seen that companies want to stay as lean as possible for longer period of time. And they might, and especially when it comes to HR or people professions, what I notice when I'm having this conversation with founders is that they don't always understand what a people professional can bring into the company. So that's why they might be a little bit hesitant, like jumping in and getting a full-time head of people or chief people officer, and they want to kind of test it out a little bit. But what I've seen in these companies is that they're like, oh my God, you can do so much. And then we are starting to have a conversation about, okay, when I move on, what sort of role and type of people person you need, and they're like more bought into it. So I think it's more like the could be both, like just the market movement, trying to stay as lean and maximize the profit and efficiency, but also not necessarily understanding the value, which is the educational piece. And hopefully I'm contributing towards that a little bit.
Well, it sounds like you are. That's fascinating actually, because when I was thinking about fractional, I think about the fact that as a people leader, you have so many hats that you have to wear and so many areas of expertise. And in a world where a company is driving towards different things at any one time. So if you have a company that's looking at, say, high performance as a factor for their 2026 strategy, does it actually make more sense for them to bring in someone who's a fractional people ops leader who has that kind of experience as well? And I'm wondering if you're in any networks and are seeing the same kind of thing happening.
Yeah, absolutely. There are, if you look at the people fractionals, you go LinkedIn or I don't know, social media somewhere else, you can see there's a lot of people who are just like fractionals, but then there are like deep expertise in one area, whether that is performance or compensation or any other area there. And then it might make sense that, okay, we have a very tricky compensation structure or no structure at all. Let's bring support from like external support that who can really help us bring structure in a scale. And then once that's in place, the internal team can maintain that, and they can focus. The internal team can continue focusing on what they're doing. So I've definitely seen the expertise or the deep expertise in the fractional market is a very good selling point.
I've noticed from our conversations so far that it feels like you've really identified like the kinds of problems you like to solve, just being as reductive as I think sounds like you like creating
Yeah,
order out of chaos,
yeah.
and to the building up. I think you said from zero to one. Has that been useful for you winning new clients and new business?
Yes and no. So this has been probably my biggest kind of learning curve, is something I really had to focus when I'm going to speak with new clients. Is naturally I am quite a generalist. I like doing a little bit of this, as I mentioned. Like I want to pick the projects and I want to be involved in a lot of things, but it's a really hard sell if you go to a client and say like, well, I can do a little bit of everything. What are you really selling? So that's definitely something that I had to really learn, how to position myself in the market and understanding what is my core offering. And once I have that across the line, then I can also kind of as a side note, like, oh, by the way, I can do this and this and this. But it's really hard to like approach the clients with just throwing everything at them, because then they don't really know what they need or want anymore if you're just being too wide with it.
How did you identify that position? Because I think that was everyone going to this solopreneur journey with a generous skill set, which is the majority of HR people. I'm sure they'll be come against the same challenge. So I'd love to understand that
Yeah.
process.
So for me, I just took a little step back and really think like, what am I good at and what brings me energy, and versus what have been the moments in my people career that, okay, I can do them, but at the end of the day, I'm just like, nah. Um, so because they are like in any job, they're the things that you really, really enjoy, and then things are not. But now I have the luxury or privilege to kind of like focus on the things that I really, really enjoy a lot. And for me, it's always been like, give me a good spreadsheet. Love it. I can spend hours on a good spreadsheet, or like very technical things, or implementing new systems, or creating like workflows, and the whole AI automations brought another layer, which I'm very excited about. But then on the other hand, like I've noticed what isn't that exciting, or like I don't get as much joy out of it, is the traditional people partnering, maybe, where you go to managers or function leaders and just like talk strategy and help them. And I can do that, and I still need to do that a lot of the time, but that's not my core. So my core is elsewhere, and because it just genuinely brings me so much energy. And that was how I was, where I started identifying what I want to do, like what brings me joy and energy, and what drains my energy.
I would say, if you don't mind, a sort of enthusiastic artist's perspective on it, is that it feels like a really good specialism to have chosen, because not only is that a missing, I would say, in most HR orgs, is that probably the weakest part of the spread of generalisms that they have. But also with the rise of AI, I feel like even that people partnering piece is going to require systems thinking and
Yeah.
knowledge on how to bring in new technology. It's that it feels like the way that the function's going, right?
100%. And the whole people function still needs both sides of the coin, and both need to be super strong, and both need to work really well together. So I still need to understand the people partnering side, and what people partners and they need from the operational side or the technology side, so that they can do their best work. So I still keep my kind of like eye on what's happening in that world. But as you said, I think that's been almost like my niche, or like what makes it easier for me to approach clients and say like, I can do these things for you, and be like, there's less competition, I guess, in the spreadsheet loving people community.
I won't be coming after you for that. That's for sure. Um, when you do get first land with a client, and I'm sure there's many different projects that you run, how do you find is the best way to get to their pain points quickly?
Um, yeah, I'm still learning that. A lot of my clients and work actually come through my network. So I've been recommended by someone who knows what I'm good at. So that kind of already takes a little bit, makes it easier for me, because they have some level of understanding who are they going to be dealing with. So they're not expecting like a people partner. But then I usually just trying to approach, understand, like just talking to them, like what they think their challenges are. And then I try to bring like, okay, what's the impact of it? Because I've been approached people like, oh, we need an engagement survey. And I was like, why? Why do you need it? Like, I can put it together, but what is the pain point that you're solving? So trying to get like, but why? But why? And try to get there. And then we can have the real conversations in terms of scoping, like what sort of project should I start with? What help you need? What resources do I need for it? Rather than just going in and doing exactly as they tell me to do.
So it's so important, I think, in any kind of advisory or advisory related role. I know you do things, but you're executing things, but I think that's so critical. I wonder, so we touched on a couple of things that might fall into this bucket already: network and a bit of savings.
Mm.
What do you think, for anyone that's out there listening and being like, yeah, that sounds awesome, I'm gonna jump into it, what do you think are the sensible foundations to put in place before you jump into this world?
I would say like anyone who is starting to think about, even like advice to myself like 3 years ago, just start networking now. Don't wait until you are at the point where you need to start doing it. Go to events, go in a podcast, I don't know.
I know a really good age
I've heard this great podcast. Or start small, like start connecting with people on LinkedIn, like their posts, put a comment, and start growing that network, and just go to events and talk to people. Because when you need that support network is already there, and you don't have to start from scratch. And also when it comes to like just very like just financial side of things. We all need money to pay rent and just live. And when you do the jump and become a solopreneur, it might take a little while to get a client, and then you probably need to work for them at least a month before you can invoice them, and then depending on your payment terms, it takes to up to a month before you get paid. So there might be at least like 3 months before you get any money in, and that's not even your money, that's the company's money. Then you need to kind of like do all the accounting and logistics around it. So in terms of the savings, ensure that you have a little bit of safety net, at least a few months to figure things out, because there's a lot to be figured out.
Because it's stressful, right? You never want to be selling from a point of desperation.
Yeah. And it is just like little bit peace of mind to say like, okay, I know that I have 4 months of security, cut back your spending, but like at least I have roof over my head. It gives you a little bit more kind of like, give yourself a good go, and so like, oh, I'm going to give it all in, and if it doesn't work out in 4 months time, then I figure something else out. But as you said, like if you're panicking, it's much harder to put your best self forward.
When you were talking, then I was thinking about how you have to also add this like business development hat to your skill set, and potentially also impress in a setting where company are looking to explore fractional support. What has the process been generally when you're coming on board with a new fractional gig? Is it interview style, or do they do something else to assess whether you're credible?
Yeah, so there's definitely, as you said, like there's a whole business side of things. So I'm not only doing the head of people or the people operations side of things. I'm actually trying to grow a business on that side and learning everything from accounting to go to market and like how I fit in the market to selling and all of that. But when it comes to actually like, okay, I have a pitch I can do like the client, it's almost like an interview, except that I'm like, I need to always remind me that I'm a business as well. Like I need to be like, even though I sometimes feel like, oh my God, there is another big business against me and I'm just one person, but like, no, I'm not even a person, I'm a business. So then I kind of go from that and like put almost like this role persona on it. But it's been interesting. It's much shorter than interview. With a couple of clients, I literally had like a 15-minute call, and she was like, "Okay, come on board. Let's see how it goes." The other one, just like a half an hour, kind of Google Meet chat. That I actually, this is a little anecdote. I ended that call. Is an AI like startup, and I ended the call saying like, "Yeah, all the AI stuff is so cool. Anyway, I'll talk to you later." And the call ended there. And I just went and screamed in my pillow for 15 minutes. But it wasn't too bad because I still managed to start working with them. So don't worry too much about being perfect in the pitch.
I think we're always our own worst critics when it comes to those sorts of things. It'd be really interesting to, I guess, on a day-by-day basis, do you set aside time every day or every week or something like that to build that network? Because it's something, as I would say, I was going to say Brits, but I know you're Finnish, but I think generally is like non-American.
Yeah.
We struggle with a little bit. So how do you make sure you make time for that when you are so busy with your existing project?
Yeah, that's definitely something that I need to schedule in, and is part of the whole business development, because no one else is going to do it if I don't do it. So I try to have like a kind of directory in my own personal, like on my company Notion, where I put like ideas for LinkedIn posts, and once I have a little bit of time, I can just go there and take one idea, so I don't have to start from scratch. So that's there. I schedule some LinkedIn posts. If I have a motivational Sunday, I wrote like 5 LinkedIn posts and to schedule them ahead, so I don't have to worry about that for like a couple of weeks. But I do need to take time, and I literally block time in my diary, like Friday afternoon. Look at my accounting, like everything that do with the accounting, think about what's my pipeline, do you have commitments for the next month, 3 months, 6 months, do I need to start really selling myself again, or all of that LinkedIn post and what needs to be done. So definitely something that I need to do and actually block time for it. Is I'm an operation person, so I kind of like that, but but I understand this is accounting is not everyone's favorite topic, so you just need to put some time aside for it.
Is there anything that you miss, other than, and I suppose the obvious, stability around the corporate structure?
Not necessarily that I miss, but something that I need to actively keep reminding myself as a consultant or contractor is that every bit of work that I do just because I'm really interested in and not charging for hours is away from my own business. Because as an employee, if you do a long day, put in a few extra hours, you're probably going to benefit from that flexibility, because then you can have a shorter day sometime else, or you might benefit from that when the company succeeds and you have options or something. So when you as an employee and putting those extra hours in, you're kind of doing that in the success of the company, or you're benefiting from it otherwise. But if I agree with the company, like with the client that I work with now, that okay, I have a daily rate. Instead of 8 hours, I end up putting 12 hours in, but not charging for it just because I was excited about something. That's directly away from my own company and availability on our revenue. So that's something that is quite hard. And sometimes I do miss that kind of integrated flexibility that employment gives you, because I can't just tell the customer, they're like, oh, yesterday I worked 9 hours, today I'm going to only work 7. They're not like, no, we're paying for 8, so keep to it.
You just do 8, yeah.
Just do 8. So it's different. So need to be quite disciplined, or at least communicate very clearly with the client how much each piece of work takes you, and charge accordingly. And if you do the extra hours, do you charge for them, or how does that work?
Now, as I can tell, someone that gets really excited about projects, someone that loves your work, someone that's very good at your work, and someone that's building your own business. Let's talk about wellness. How good have you been? How strict have you been around creating space for yourself in this? I mean, we're exactly 6 months in, so this feels like a good time to do a well-being check.
Oh, 100%. And I need to admit that that's an area that I haven't excelled that well. I do try to, because even though I get really into projects, and I'm one of those that gets hyper focused, and I can just sit there for 12 hours and just not eating, just doing the work. However, in long term, I can't do that. It impacts my brain, it impacts my creativity and how everything works. So if I do want to bring my best self for the company or the clients I work with the next day, I need to kind of remind myself that, okay, I need to step away. I need to go to the gym. I need to go for a walk. I need to spend time with my friends and family. So it is constant still reminder for myself to do that. It doesn't come naturally still. I've noticed that it is important. And I'd actually introduced a new routine just very recently, me being Finnish. There's a Finnish sauna quite close to mine. So now every Sunday afternoon I go there for an hour, and I was just I'm a newborn person. This is amazing.
What, an hour in the sauna?
Well, it's the whole thing is an hour. It's say you go in and out, and you're not just sitting there. But it's part of it. I need it.
That's so funny. But look, as someone that has been going through the founder journey for 15 years, just that time away is both frustratingly so good for you and so easy to drop.
Oh, 100%. It's interesting. Why do you always let things go first that are actually good for you? When things get busy, those are the things that you should religiously stick to it, but you immediately let go of well-being and everything that even you shouldn't. I don't know why that is, but
And then it becomes, I'm not sure if you have to say it becomes this sort of vicious cycle. The less I do those sorts of things, the slower I am at doing work.
Yeah.
Which means the less time I have to
100%.
I mean, it's got a on my mirror at home. I'm gonna have to write like go to the gym.
I have post-it notes on my like just do this and do that just to remind myself. Then all always work, but I have that.
I used to have, this is a big overshare. I used to have a post-it note on my lap computer. I'm not like probably for 3 years that said, "You love this job, enjoy it," or something like that.
Ah,
And it's just like I wrote it at a time where I was like, "Oh, I'm really enjoying this,"
yeah.
but it had come off of a time where it was really tough. I think it was during COVID actually. It's just like a little post-it note there, and then every time I was getting really stressed out and like really burnt out, where I just look at that and be like, "Oh yeah, oh yeah, it's good. It's like a real privilege."
And you want to keep enjoying it, because if you don't take those breaks and take care of yourself, at some point you probably don't enjoy it anymore because you burn out at some point. So good reminder.
And I think this is the reality that, to use an AI ism, this is the uncomfortable truth.
You're still a human.
Yeah, exactly. But it's like starting your own business, whether you're solopreneuring or building a business like Instant Impact. It can be really hard. I mean, it is really hard. It's really hard for everyone that does it. And so you have to enjoy it,
Yeah.
and reframe the tough moment as learning experiences.
And on that, like, because I work with clients and there are people there that I see regularly, but I don't have a team. I don't have like a colleague of mine that I can just like when I'm having a hard day and like who would understand what I'm doing. So again, going back to the networks, that's where you really, really need to tap into those networks and be like, hey, other people, are you feeling like me? Like things are really hard. Does anyone want to have a chat? And I've had so many, I don't think I've ever been as social that I've been since starting this journey, and just having like just quick Google Meets call with another person who's doing similar things, or going to events, because you need those networks because you don't have a team.
I think that's super interesting, and it's something even, I'm not fractional and I'm working in-house, that I've started to realize more often, is that if you're stuck on something, it can be easy to feel quite siloed in a HR or people ops role, and your network is everything in a sense. So I can agree.
Yeah, and onto that point, like there's going a few steps back when it's like what advice for like people who think about starting this is that, to my like, there was a really positive surprise, but people are so willing to help you. Like if you just ask them like, how does this work, or how can I get a registered address, or how do I do this or that, or like how do you find clients? Just say that, and there's gonna be so many people kind of like, oh, I'm gonna help you. Or I've had so many calls with people who are saying like, oh, this is what I do, and if I find the clients that actually need my skills, I'm gonna like refer them to you, and the other way around. Like I've got people who want people partners, and I was like, yeah, not me. So then I just give them another person's like contact details. So it's both support, but it's also good business development to tap into those networks.
It is amazing. I have to underline that again, how willing to help
Yeah.
people tend to be. I would say 6, maybe more. I would say like 3/5 of people that I ask for help, and I still do it,
Yeah.
will say yes. And the others will just say, "Oh, I'm really sorry, it's not a good time."
Yeah, exactly.
They're not like, "How dare you infringe on my time?"
No, like everyone who I ask for help or advice or anything, they do give it. But also, it goes the other way around. Like if people know you as someone who's willing to help you, then they will do that like back to you, like in return later. And so it is like give and take. But yeah.
I can't believe it, but we are nearly coming to the end of the podcast now, having spent half an hour in the studio. So thank you so much, Riikka, for your time. It's been super interesting to hear about your journey into the fractional world, and wish you all the very, very best of luck moving forwards.
Thank you so much. And thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure.